He was convicted of a brutal multiple and has been awaiting execution for more than 4 decades.
Go ahead and state your name.
William Thomas Zeigler Jr.
How long have you been on death row?
46 years.
However, his case has been full of irregularities, and his guilt has never been proven.
I'm not guilty of what I'm charged with.
It was Christmas Eve, and Tommy Zeigler was working in his furniture store when 30 bullets were shot into the store, killing his wife, his in-laws, and a customer.
Tommy was a young Army veteran and a volunteer football coach when they met. Eunice was a teacher. They attended church together. She played piano, he sang in the choir. They had a big wedding in 1967 and made plans to have children. They never did.
There's not a day go by that I don't think about her.
Thinking about what specifically?
What we had, what we did, what we could have had, what we could have done.
The Zeiglers did have a successful business. They owned several rental properties, and from all appearances, they had a strong 9-year marriage.
Marriage was good?
Very good.
No infidelity?
No.
No stress?
No.
No domestic problems of any
Yes.
kind? Did you love Eunice?
Very much so.
However, Tommy was also shot and was wounded in the stomach, for which he had to be admitted to the emergency room.
You never fired a shot?
Not to my knowledge, no.
But someone fired a shot into Tommy's stomach. That's when he hit the floor and briefly blacked out. When he came to, he crawled around in the dark looking for the phone. To his surprise, he came across a body. He said he had no clue that his wife, in-laws, or the customer, Charlie Mays, were already.
I crawled across somebody, but I couldn't tell who it was.
But you knew it was a body?
Yes.
However, days after the shooting, he was arrested while he was in the hospital and was found responsible for the
I was numb. I just couldn't believe that they were thinking that I killed somebody. I think Judge Paul was definitely biased and prejudiced against me because we had been on opposite sides of a case just 5 or 6 months prior to my trial. And a lieutenant with the beverage department that was a friend of his was fired because of my testimony. There is no GSR residue on me. So explain to me how that I fired 28 shots and didn't get any gunshot residue on me. It's impossible.
Different theories began to emerge in the case. One of them was that Tommy wanted to collect the money from 2 life insurance policies taken out on his wife before she died. However, he always declared his innocence and insisted that he was the victim of a botched robbery attempt.
A friend sent me a copy of an article from the Orlando Sentinel newspaper. It was on Lawson Lamar, the then state attorney, using DNA to convict the first man in the United States of America with DNA. I read that article, made myself a cup of coffee, and I read that article again. Read that article the 3rd time, and I said, okay, if they can convict this man using DNA, they can clear me using DNA.
Other evidence can make it look like someone committed the crime. DNA testing can answer the question in a dispositive way in a lot of cases about whether the person's been convicted is the person who actually committed the crime. The 1970s and 1980s and the early 90s cases where there was no DNA testing that might have been used as part of the criminal investigation. And for those cases, the idea of using the existing post-conviction mechanisms to get that testing was foreclosed.
First of all, the idea that these people would leave him alive has always been sort of a sticking point with anybody that hears this story, is why do you deliberately 4 people in this store and leave him alive with only a slight, sort of a semi-superficial gunshot wound to the side? It just never made any sense.
Tommy's execution was postponed several times due to the various trials that came up each year.
They don't want to know the truth. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Honest to God, they don't want to know the truth. We've done everything we can do in this case. There's nothing left to do. Nothing. We had to take each piece of new evidence and presented at the time we found it, or we would have been procedurally barred from doing it. That's the law. And each piece, as we found it, was not enough to overturn this conviction. Then we go on to another one, and another one, and another one. This case has never been looked at from the cumulative effect of all the evidence, all of it together in totality. It's never been looked at like that. It's been piecemeal the whole time. And it's not our fault it was piecemeal. It's the way it came to us. That's what the problem is.
Nevertheless, the case has been trending again after he was granted a date for a new hearing and an opportunity for a DNA test, which could get him out of prison and save him from the death penalty.
Since 2004, we have pleaded again for more DNA testing. We want to DNA test everything in that crime scene with the new technology. Everything in that crime scene. We'll play your game. And what does the state say? No. You're in procedural default. You had your chance and you didn't do it. Is that justice? Are they looking for justice? Are they looking for truth or veracity or integrity? No.